decided this morning, I sent the newsletter, or I decided last week actually, I was in bed last Saturday night, and it suddenly struck me, oh, should I be preaching on the flood? And just because you know we had all those floods last week, particularly in the north of England, I was just lying in bed thinking, God, do you want me to preach on the flood tomorrow? Part of me was saying, please no. I'm going to tell you what I would say, I'm going to say I was prepared, but I just had this sort of feeling that I needed to preach on the flood. And then I thought, I'll do it next week. So I'm breaking into the series I just started. I just felt it was appropriate, and hopefully it's God's will that I talk about Noah and the flood this morning. Last week we saw scenes like the ones that you'll see on the screen behind, from the north of England. 4 pictures first of all. That was one, another one, another one, another one, and one more. This is from New Orleans. You remember Hurricane Katrina? You probably can't see that particularly clearly, but there's sort of just the roofs of houses that you're left with there as a result of the flooding. And it just got me thinking really, I thought, that's just after like 2 days of flooding in the north of England now. And I was trying to imagine how they must have felt after 1 day of rain and seeing the water levels rising, and then thinking to themselves, please stop, you know, it just won't stop raining. And then another day it's like, oh please stop, and then listening to the weather forecast saying more heavy rain coming. It's like, oh no, as they're watching these water levels just rising and seeping into their homes. And I thought that was just after 2 days. Said that thousands of years ago it rained for 40 days solid, 40 nights solid. And I was thinking, whoa, what must that have been like for those people who saw the water levels rising and say, please stop, please stop. And so that's why I'm preaching on the flood this week, really. There's a video clip I'm going to show you now. Got a couple of video clips through this morning from a film that hasn't come out in this country yet. Now I know some of you are thinking, sounds dodgy. How's he got a video clip and it's not even out in this country? But it's out in America, and this company I used to buy videos from, they sent them free to me, so it's all legitimate, all kosher. But there's a film coming out called Evan Almighty. And it's kind of like a modern day look at Noah and the flood. And I've read some Christian reviews, and Christians by and large in America seem to think that it's a really helpful film and it makes some really good comments by and large. But you imagine how Noah must have been received all those years ago when he starts telling people there's going to be this huge flood, it's going to rain 40 days and 40 nights, we're going to build a boat. I think first of all, even his family would have been freaked out by him. This is a clip from Evan Almighty, where she first, Evan's wife, discovers that he's the modern day Noah.
What does that mean?
God appeared to me and told me to build an ark. He said there was going to be a flood and that I should be prepared. Whenever I shave, my beard grows right back out. My hair grows longer every day. This robe, God sent me the robe. Thought it would be funny. I actually think it's really comfortable. That's why I'm wearing it.
The beard, the robe, you're Noah?
Yeah, kind of. Mom?
Not now, Noah! Dylan? We left everything behind to come here. Maybe let's put too much pressure on you, I don't know. But this has got to stop. Please, you're scaring me. The boys need their father back, and I need my husband back.
Noah was a great man of faith. Really did take a lot of faith to do what he did. First of all in the face of his family, but certainly in the face of his community at that time. And as you'll see later, it was a really radical, strange thing that Noah did. Alright, why was Noah needing to build an ark? Why was God going to send a flood on the earth? All begins in Genesis chapter 6. This is Genesis chapter 6 and verse 5. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. That's got to be one of the most damning statements I have ever read in my life. Listen to this now. Every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So we're not just talking about people whose actions were only evil and were constantly evil. We're not just talking about people whose thoughts were only evil and constantly evil. We're talking about a whole society here whose intentions, the intention to think and to act, it started there and was only evil on a constant, continual basis. It's as if people at that time had got to the point where they were predisposed, where they were planning every step of the day, intending, how am I going to think to do evil things? How am I going to think to act to do evil things? They were intending every step of the day on being immoral. They were intending on being corrupt. They were intending on being dishonest. They were intending on being lustful. And it just went on and on and on and on, but that was the intention. They started each day and went through the day with the intention of being like that, only evil continually. As a result, verse 6, we read this: the Lord was sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. The Lord was sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. You know, that's not an admittance of God saying, oh, I'm sorry I did it in the first place. Big mistake. Should never have done it in the first place. That's not what he's saying here. It's possible to be sorry about something without saying I made a big mistake in the first place. God here was saying, I just feel so hurt. I feel so bad, and I'm just sorry I made you in the first place. That's how you made me feel. It's like getting into a marriage. And when you first marry the person, you love the person, don't make a mistake. But then years down the line, your marriage partner has an affair. And then another affair. And then another affair. And another affair. And then you feel so hurt that you feel, I'm just sorry I ever met that person. I'm sorry I ever married that person because of how they make me feel now. Do you see what I mean? And the thing that struck me about that was this, you know, God didn't look down primarily on the world that was just going its own way, and whose intention of the thought of the action of the heart of man was only evil continuing. He didn't just think, I'm going to judge that nation. His first primary feeling was, I'm so hurt. I'm really hurt, guys. We entered into a relationship. This is all meant to be a relationship. I want you to walk with me. I want you to love me. I want to love you so badly. We got into this relationship together, didn't we? And now I got to the point where I feel so hurt. This has destroyed me. I'm sorry that I ever made you. That's how I feel. And that got me to thinking that, oh gosh, how often does God feel? We don't often think about God feeling, do we? We don't often think about God's emotions. But that got me thinking about how does God feel when we do certain things? It also got me thinking from another positive way that God really does care. You know, when you and I watch something on TV, or we hear about people who go through a really hard time, and we think we care. We think we've got compassion. God really cares. God is bursting with compassion. How much more care does God have? I was able to speak to someone on the phone this week, somebody who's not in a good place. And I was able to say, you know, I really do believe God cares about you. God does have a future for you. God does have great plans for you. God's heart is breaking about where you are now. God really does care about you.